In this video, I'm going to give you a tour, a walkthrough, a close examination of my daily carry half-size tool belt that I use for every kind of job imaginable. So the deal with this rig, which I typically wear just like this on my right side, is that it's very purposefully and intentionally not a full-size rig. It's not a full-size tool belt. Full-size belt, as you know, would have typically like a pouch on one side, either a measure tape in the middle or a hammer in the middle, and then another full-size pouch over here. But this is a much smaller setup that I prefer for daily jobs. Now, it means I don't carry everything with me. It means I'm just much more flexible, versatile, and able to actually like do things, you know, get in and out of tight spaces with just this tool belt. I can also swing it around to the front of me if I'm sitting on a job. So let me just go through the anatomy of the belt itself. It has a waist belt, which I sort of custom added on here. It's padded and like really comfortable. If you're gonna be wearing a tool belt all day, you want something comfortable. And for me, the latch is ideal when it's over here on the side. I've got a big buckle on the side, and that means that if I'm like bending in the middle, you know, if I'm leaning over, I'm not getting that big buckle like cutting into me. The tool belt itself really just has two sections. One is a pocket right here, which I typically keep my tape in, and this is just a small tape. It will also fit a big tape, or you can put like a handful of screws in here, and sometimes I'll run the tape measure clipped over here. I do leave the clip on my tape measure just because you know, I just find it to be a little bit more versatile to be able to put it other places. So one thing I've got is my pocket pouch, and this pouch, again, I sewed it myself. It's got a wire in the lip here that kind of keeps it open. You can buy pouches like this pretty easily, but I just made mine myself. Over here I've got my hammer loop. I carry a small flashlight with me. It's just a little flashlight because of weight. You know, I've got a bigger flashlight in my truck and in my tool bag, but I just go for a small flashlight. I find that if I need a light, that's good enough, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space in the bag. Then just kind of like carrying over to the outside. This might look like Total Revenge of the Nerds, but I've got 4 different writing and marking implements. I carry a typical carpenter's pencil for marking, you know, like 2x4s, any kind of rough marking. I also carry a mechanical pencil for much more precise marks. You know, if I'm building any kind of shelves, cabinets, marking aluminum, something like that, I find that mechanical pencil is just so much more precise. Then I've got a Sharpie, which I use for marking all kinds of other materials, writing notes. It's just convenient to have a pen. I also carry a metal marking device. This guy is not a pen, but instead a piece of tungsten steel on the tip that you can use to scratch steel, aluminum. You can even mark wood with this guy. It's really sharp and kind of deadly, but it also has the purpose of having a magnet on the end, so you can pick stuff up. If you like drop a screw down a hole, I'll take this guy and pick stuff up with it. So I've got 4 marking devices. Again, a little bit Revenge of the Nerds, but I like it that way. Then I've got my utility knife, just straight up, and it has extra blades inside that sound like they're kind of loose, but whatever. Utility knife. On the topic of cutting tools, I also carry a multi-tool all the time in my pocket. So I'm typically running the rig kind of like this. It's over on the side, and the multi-tool will be in my pocket. Multi-tool, you know, it's kind of redundant with some of the tools I carry, but I use it a lot. The main thing I use is the knife. But there's also a pair of pliers on here which I will use from time to time. There's a file that occasionally I'll use, etc. So I've got my multi-tool with me at all times. Okay, so let's look inside the main 2 compartments of the bag where I carry the, you know, the main stuff, like a nasty old rag for wiping stuff up. I've got a bit container in an old mint box. In the big container, I've just got all kinds of things for my impact driver mainly. You know, star head, square head, Phillips, a bit for sockets. There are even a couple easy outs in here that I was using this week. So this is kind of a catch-all for bits. And also in this pouch is a small drill bit case. I just find that I use these guys all the time. It only goes up to 1/4 inch, but 90% of the time, these are the bits that I use, and this is a, who makes this? This is a Hoot, H-U-O-T, Hoot case, and I find their stuff is really, really good. All right, so I carry that all the time. One more thing in this pouch that is totally essential for me, if you can see it, is that I've also sewed just a little Velcro pouch in here for two things that I find really, really important for me on a daily basis. One is my chip reader for my phone, so I can take credit cards, and the other are business cards. Just like two things that if they're here in my pouch, I've got them all the time. So I can charge people on my phone with my credit card reader, or I can pass out my business card. Up top here, actually just a few things, even though it's the main pouch. I carry a speed square most days, and I've just got a strap kind of sewn on here to keep the speed square in place. So I got the speed square, and then if I pop that out, you can see there's just 4 of the things in this pouch. I can put more stuff in the pouch, but I usually just kind of keep it empty. I've got an 11-in-1 screwdriver. This is an electrician screwdriver, and I just think it's great. This guy is made by Klein, and you know, you've seen these, they pop out, so you can go from Phillips to regular, in a big size, a small size. And then if you do any kind of electric work, you know that these square bits are really essential for, you know, like any kind of panel work. So I've got the square driver on one end, and I've got the Phillips and traditional on the other. And I keep that guy in my tool pouch inside this strap. So I've got these straps sewn in here, and the screwdriver sits inside that strap. I just sewed that stuff in. Same deal with this pair of pliers. Standard pair of pliers and a standard needle nose pliers. So I know some people, their tool belt setup is like fixed. It never changes, but for me it's just really different. If I'm doing a job where I need some chisels, I will typically, you know, just pull my pliers out. So I will just run my chisels in those 2 pouches, and I've got a setup for, you know, making cabinets or doing, you know, indoor carpentry or trim work. And then similarly, if I'm doing an electrical job, 2 main tools I will use in an electrical job that are not in my toolkit here are my strippers and my, I've always called these lineman pliers. I use them for clipping and twisting wires. So as you might imagine, I'll just pull these 2 kind of more versatile tools, and I will run my electrical stuff right like that, and I'm good to go on an electrical job. I'll often pull my tape, which I'm less likely to use very often, and fill my pouch with connectors or staples or whatever I'm using. So for me, this setup is one that's meant to be kind of plastic and changeable. So you know, I can swap things out and add things when I need to. I mean, the other day I had a big tube of caulk in my big pouch. This week I've got a job building some stair treads, and I'm guessing I might use my wood glue, in which case I would just throw it in my pouch. All right, just a couple more things. Earlier I mentioned that I will sometimes carry a bigger flashlight with me, and I'm talking like a light like this. This is an LED rechargeable. So if I'm doing like a big crawl space job, I will end up swapping things out. You know, I'll pull this short level that I use frequently, put my flashlight in my bag, and I'm good to go. I have a hammer hook on the back of the bag here. Now this bag came with a hammer hook on the front, and I guess you could run that way, but I don't want my hammer right in the front like this, and I don't want to wear my bag too far to the back. So what I did with this bag, and you can see that already, is I've customized the heck out of it for my own uses, using the sewing machine and all kinds of webbings and straps and whatnot. I mean, originally there was a little hook right here for my tape measure, and you know those hooks, you hook them on, and then you lean over, the tape measure pops off. That's why I converted to the pouch. Similarly, I put a hammer loop on the back here, and I don't do a whole lot of framing work with this bag. So if I'm doing like a big framing job, I would have my larger tool belt. But you know, if I need to, I can hang a hammer off this bag, and then the way I wear the bag, that locates the hammer in the back, which is where I want it, and makes it, for me, pretty easily accessible. All right, so that's a walkthrough of my daily carry, kind of half-size, small tool bag. I think, this is like my perspective on this, I think you've got to figure out what works for you. People use a tool belt, you know, as kind of part of their body. And sometimes you're used to reaching to the left for something and sometimes to the right. Framers will tell you, and this is true, that if you're framing and you're right-handed, you've got, and it's obvious, you've got your hammer access on the right side and you've got your fasteners on the left. So you're grabbing nails out of the left side and your hammer out of the right. But other than that, there are just so many little idiosyncrasies and features of a tool belt that are really all about the person and your body type and all kinds of stuff. I know a lot of people like the suspenders. Go for the suspenders. I like a belt, like I just do. I like the way it feels, but I had to customize this one with a more comfortable padded belt just so that it worked for me. All right, hit me with a comment down below if you've got questions, suggestions, gripes, issues, whatever it is. Thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you in my next project.